Greater light, greater light. I came back to revisit the resin. What? I didn't say that properly. Yes, I did. Don't believe me? Go check it out. All right. So what I decided to do is because I had a request earlier while I was over there celebrating London McLovin's happy anniversary, which it looked like he's been blocked. So all he has to do is go over there and fix the copyright, educational purposes. They always do that when I get up on somebody's panel. Stuff get blocked up. They trying to block the artificial intelligence codes that are being unraveled. Okay, so earlier I was watching Alchemos, his one of his videos, which was being played on London McLovin panel, or the rebuttal bar. And as I was watching it, I noticed the resin and how the trees produce the resin to produce these gems. And as I was watching the video, I was trying to remember where I just seen the word resin recently. So that was on the 11th. Remember 11/11/11? On the 11/11/11, I read the word resin. And the word resin in 1 Kings 11 is about a son whose name was Resin. So let me just read where I saw the word resin and how it came back to my total recall while watching the video. Rezin and her dad were his enemies. They were during Solomon's entire lifetime. Rezin and Hadad were his enemies, for they had hated Israel intensely. So, of course, me seeing the word resin, and I'm thinking about the resin of trees, and I'll start trying to consider what is the connection to AI or artificial intelligence. Because part of why I read First Kings had to do with artificial intelligence also. Abish AI. Okay, remember when I was reading First Kings 11, I'd said mill.com. So I'm going to cover all these names right now, but I definitely going to start with resin. So when I first typed in resin, all it did was give me the Bible interpretation of resin. And I'm going to go back to God raised the power. So another of Solomon's enemy who God raised to power was resin. God raised resin to power. You'll find that in 1 Kings 11, 23. 1 Kings 11th chapter 23rd verse. Remember, Solomon wasn't doing right, period, anyway. So God started raising up all these different powers, and REZON was one of them. Now, when I tried to see where REZON is in current time, the only thing that came up is that REZON is an artificial intelligence ML serverless program. With it being a serverless program, anybody can use it right now. So it's a way to build, you could build chatbots. You can actually grab a hold or harness artificial intelligence. Remember, I was saying right now, artificial intelligence doesn't have a mind of its own. It is in a stage that Abish AI was in, as he was the servant soldier or servant nephew for David in the military. He was serverless. So the REZON of today is an artificial intelligence software or a serverless program, a software program where you can turn the serverless into what you need it to do to serve you while it's in its early stages before it receives its Bill of Rights. That's what I found out about REZON. Not only in REZON.com, so that's where you would find it. You would type REZON.com. But here's some other information. Now, let me read this information here. Because I kept trying to understand or comprehend what is a serverless server through a computer program. So the term serverless is typically used in context for cloud computing, not in relation for plant life, because I was trying to find a connection, but it still gave a connection, even though she's saying this. Not in relation to plant life or REZON. Serverless computing is a model where cloud provider dynamically manages the allocation of machine resources. REZON from plant life refers to sticky substance that is produced by certain types of trees and plants. For example, pine trees produce a type of resin known as pine resin. The resin is various uses, including production of varnishes, adhesives, food, and glazing agents, but that's not how far back I'm thinking of resin. I'm thinking of resin in the point of like preservation of ancient things. So now here is where the computing of resin and a serverless program come together. There are also plant-based resins used in 3D printing. Oh, as soon as they say that, I'm thinking about Kanye's 3D boots. There are also plant-based resins used in 3D printing. So the source of the life in the trees connected to the server that produces the 3D printing. These resins are made primarily from oils that come from soybeans, corn, sunflowers, whey, potatoes, beets, and even algae. They're considered more environmentally friendly than the standard resins. However, neither plant resin nor plant-based 3D resins have anything to do with serverless computing. Yeah, that's what she says, but that's not what I believe. So there you are on resin, on part of resin in the connection. So now let me ask, explain the root word zon. Here we go. The root word zon. Okay, zone, the belt. See, now just the other day, which was Sunday, they covered the armor of God. Zon is the belt. Now, you know, Saturn is supposed to lose its belt in 18 months, so they say. I don't know if this is a sign of the ceremonies. Because right after Revelations, 1 Kings 11, and it goes into 12, it begins with a ceremony. So Zon, Rezin, who came up against Solomon, Zon means belt. The root word Zon comes from the Greek word zon or zona and derived from zone. This root word has often been used in terms related to girdle, belt, band, zone, or something that is Zanaya, or zone AI. Look at that. Zone AI, the Zonaya, Zonai, ZONAI. For example, the word Zenephrius refers to zone or belt. Okay, so the root word of this resin is the belt. And again, you could type this up. You can look it up for yourself. They are saying right now, or predicting an assimilation that they're creating right now. And whatever the ripple effect is going to be, it's going to be a ripple effect. There's no way that Saturn is going to lose its belt that it's had from the time that I could remember. And all these things existed before I got here. But from the time that I could remember, and all of a sudden, it's going to lose its belt. It says within 18 months, Saturn is going to lose its belt. For someone that studies the planets and the zodiacs and astrology and astronomy, this would be perfect because I can't decipher it. This stuff was here before I got here. All I've done is taken what they have here and putting it together, as this whole Bible is a revelation of today. It is the living word. So once again, when Saturn loses its belt, what is the ripple effect? Okay. So God raised to power another of Solomon's enemy who God raised to power was Rezin, one of the official kings of Hadad Ezer of Zobah, who had deserted his post and fled the country. He had become leader of a gang of bandits. There don't go the gang of bandits, men who fled with him to Damascus. Damascus, where he later became king when David destroyed Zobah. So Reza became a king. No, Zobah, his father. When David destroyed Zobah during Solomon's entire lifetime, Rezin and Hadad was his enemies. So David killed Rezin's father. And so Rezin had been raised up by the power of God to destroy David's son, Solomon. Oh, that's the story of Rezin. Now, remember I said that there is zone AI. So let me type in what is zone AI. ZONAI. Explain. Ready? Let's see. Oh, she didn't do it. ZONAI. Explain. Oh, now this is a game. Ooh. Uh-oh. Now, let me ask you a question. Anyone that is here or decides to come in. If these games are loaded to the cloud, does that make them part of the simulation? The preempted simulations that are meant to become physical through artificial intelligence? Okay, that's just a thought. Well, with these programs using resin in 3D imaging and printing, using resin in image creating of flesh that's able to be attached to man, like the 3D printing image of organs that are beginning to be able to use as flesh, the connection of resin, REZ or ZONAI, and resin, RESIN. Is it that far-fetched that once these 3D printed organs and organisms become an energy cell, that these artificial intelligence simulations become one with man, besides in dream realms and frequencies, but in flesh? Oh, I don't know. It's just a thought. But here is the gaming aspect of Zone AI, Zonaya. Zonaya is a prehistoric civilization that appears in the game Legend of Zelda. I heard about that game, but I'm not a gamer, so I don't know. Tears of the Kingdom. They were first indicated by ruins and an armor set by Breath of the Wild. Oh, wow. And appear fully in Tears of the Kingdom. Here are some of the key characteristics to Zone AI. Origin, the zone AI are said to have been descendants of gods who came from the sky. The magical abilities, the zone AI or the REZON, were given secret stones by gods. There's the stones of the resin, which could amplify an individual's magical abilities. These enemies include water. Oh, these elements include water, air, electricity, fire, light, time, spirit, and darkness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So while you have some still stuck on the fifth element, you have resin who is using 8 elements: water, air, electricity, fire, light, time, spirit, and darkness. The habitat, after descending to the surface, the resin lived in the Faron region. Faron, or far on. It says far on, really. Physical appearance. The Zonai or Zone AI have animalistic appearance, vaguely reminiscent of camelids, with remarkably long ears. They are covered with dark gray fur and have white manes of hair. They have 3 eyes, but tend to keep the third one closed, making the eyelash resemble a jewel on their forehead. Oh my goodness, isn't that deep? The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. There are 27 different types of Zone AI devices, ranging in use from exploration to combat. Each of the devices is powered by your energy cell, which you can upgrade to power your contraptions for even more time. Wow. So there's more on the resin. Let me do mill.com now. Mill.com. Let me see if something comes up, because I kept saying mill.com, which I'd never heard of. I just kept saying it. Milcom in Revelations. 1 Kings 11. Oh, doe deer. It says Mill Connect. That's not mill.com. It's giving me a bunch of different things, but DEER it comes up. And then everything else is military. Explain Milcom. I should stay on resin for a little bit longer, but I'm ready to get off of here because I'm actually tired. Explain Milcom. Military Communications Conference. Okay, so Milcom in 1 Kings is a military communications conference. And it does go into the Amorites. No, the Ammonites in by Solomon. Milcom was one of the foreign gods for whom Solomon built a high place in the Mount of Olives. See, Solomon was on that bull crap, right? But again, Rezon was raised up against Solomon. Remember, God was giving Solomon many warnings before his book got erased from the Bible. And you know, they say that books wasn't supposed to be added or taken away, right? But whoever had the acts of Solomon sure destroyed it. And I believe the same ones who hold the Kabbalah or Torah are the ones that supposedly destroyed the rest of Solomon's work, because they didn't want to let people know the truth of how the script was flipped. So Milcom was also a raised up being through the military of Solomon, through his demons. And God, again, Rezon was raised by the power of God against Solomon. Everyone always talking about it, and the only people who say that Solomon was the wisest man was those who don't read the Bible. Yeah, he had a lot of wisdom until. People don't never say Solomon once was a wise man. He couldn't have been that wise if he died into his sins. He died and God even let him live, even though God was going to destroy his inheritance because he was so wicked and evil in his last days, raising up all them demons and stuff. It says it right here. I'm not making it up. And everything that came around all of the Israelites that raised up outside of David and Solomon was meant to take down everything that Solomon and David built. David had his part in his sins, but he had a repentant heart. Solomon had no repentance. He continued, he wouldn't turn back. God even came and talked to him personally after God had said way back in Moses' days, if you see me, you'll die. If I appear to you, if I even come to talk to you straight, I have to talk to you through a burning bush. But he tried to save Israel. He said, I'm just going to give you one little piece of this inheritance. You don't even deserve that. I'm just saying. So here's that information for Alchemos between resin of the trees, resin and 3D printing, the zone out of resin, REZON, in the meaning, and how resin was raised by God. It was a power raised by God. Okay? The end. The end. I did that just for Alchemos 83 because you requested it. Greater light. BS King, one love. Greater light. And I'll come back tomorrow because I want to stay on 11 for a minute and do some more breaking down of these names. Because all of this is revelation. Everywhere I flip the pages, it's about the day I don't have to go to the news, actually. Some of the stuff pop up and I can't help it. I don't really read into depth anymore. But everything's right here in my face, in the living application, in the living word, with this tree right on front of the book. It's an emerald book, too. It's emerald with a gold. Let me show you. See that? See that? Look at that. Is that a Kawikidiki? No? This is the Bible I'm reading from. Huh? With them roots down there? Is that like the eye? Mmm. Mmm. Let me see if I turn it this way. See the eyeball? Mmm. Let's see. Is it? Is it a sunset, a sun rays? Is it a sun as above, so below? The sun and then the tree at the bottom? I don't know. Let's see. Well, greater light, thank you for coming through. Alchemos, this one's for you.